Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the T.O.A Podcast. I am your host, Arnold, here today with the Ek and the Zakta, all together as a lovely, loving trio of brothers.
A trio of Albertans, you might say.
Indeed. T.A.O. Wait, no. T.O.A.
Yes,
T.O.A.
We're the T.O.A.
So, today, for those who might be looking, is our 100th podcast. Thank you.
We hit the big 1-0.
I feel like we've done more than those already.
Well, technically we've recorded more than 100.
Yes,
but we've
had
had
at least 103,
I think
104.
the amount of I think about 103 be the amount of recorded podcasts.
I know twice that you and I have had.
It took 3 tries to get
that
one.
Failed.
I know there was one that took 3 tries. I'm pretty sure that was the Minecraft one that took 3 tries, and then we had one about the Great Spirit Robot. So I think there's about 3 that never made it, and I think there might have been a 4th. So I'm going to assume, but this is the 100th podcast that's been completed and sent out to the ether of YouTube to the peoples. So, and for this lovely occasion, we are finally going to get around to talking about BIONICLE movies, specifically just today, The Mask of Light.
The movie.
Indeed. Which, the fact that it's been taking this long for us to ever talk about the movie, I mean, part of it was, I think we all kind of admitted, or at least I wanted, I don't remember how it went, that we wanted to basically watch all the movies and then talk about them afterwards. But we will do that, but first we're going to basically, go through each movie, talk about each one, and then at some point probably have a podcast talking about all 4 and debating and arguing and having opinions on such, so... But today we're just going to talk about The Mask of Light.
The movie.
Not the book, not the movie, the novel.
The novelization.
Not BIONICLE Mask
of Light, the novel.
The novel.
The movie. The novel.
The sticker sheet.
No, it's BIONICLE
Mask of Light, the movie.
You may have seen a commercial a few times.
Oh, I watched that commercial with that.
The first trailer for that movie, honestly, probably was one of the most exciting moments.
Because back in the days of VHS, we had some movie that had that trailer for everything.
My recollection was it was one of our sisters watching the movie that we'd gone recently, and I think our older brother on the Lost T.O.A ended up basically telling us to all get up there now. There's a BIONICLE trailer. Is what I remember. I don't know what movie it was that originally had it, but I just remember our older brother, the Lost T.O.A, telling us to get up here now.
I remember us having to wait for him to get up there to watch the movie.
Oh, maybe that's a bit of a wait for him. Maybe it's you who told me to get up there now. I don't really remember. I just remember being so excited.
I don't remember either.
It was probably even more exciting than when the Lego movie dropped the trailer, which, don't get me wrong, that was exciting on its own, but BIONICLE did it first.
Well, it was 2003, so I was about 10. You would have been about 6.
I was like 5.5.
In early
I was close to 6. I was close to 6.
In 2003, you had your 7th birthday.
So I was yes, math.
Now,
Perfect.
when the movie came, when the trailer came out, you were probably like 5.5.
I think there was a big gap between us getting it and coming across a trailer. I think it was
Probably not. Yeah.
I think we got that movie pretty close to its release because it was direct to DVD, and we knew it was coming out.
Direct to VHS.
VHS and DVD.
But we got the DVD.
That is true.
Yeah, no.
It was one of the first DVDs our
I think it was like the 3rd.
Really? That was one of the
Two
first.
Towers, Incredibles, and BIONICLE, the first 3 I can remember. And I think Gladiator.
Episode 2.
Episode 2 was a VHS.
Yeah, he's right.
I know. I watched
that
thing
religiously. Yes, that's right.
I think BIONICLE is probably in the top.
Was the first DVD for Star Wars.
Yeah.
I would say
the only one.
Mask of Light is probably in the top 10 DVDs.
Oh, for sure. It was one of the earliest ones.
Which is interesting because Legend of Metronue we only had it on VHS.
That's hilarious.
We went from DVD to VHS, and then of course DVD for the 3rd because I don't think the 3rd was ever released on VHS.
Nope.
For better or for worse. But we're not here to talk about those. We're here to talk about The Mask of Light, people. The Mask of Light. Which, can I just say, at the time of it, I was a little disappointed that it was about the T.O.A Nuva and not the T.O.A Mata. Because my thought is if you're making a BIONICLE movie, the first BIONICLE movie, you start at the beginning, and we didn't. Which
BIONICLE is very good at spreading the story out across multiple
I do kind of
movies.
vaguely remember not liking how the T.O.A and Matoran look because they didn't look like the sets.
I think I found that a little jarring, but I've definitely come around to really appreciate it.
In hindsight now, that's fine. That's a better way to do it.
I remember
not looking at you.
See, the design of the sets wasn't the part that bothered me, I think, as much as the fact that Pohatu didn't have the voice that we gave him. He didn't talk like this. Pohatu had a very, very specific voice. He's Pohatu, you're Pohatu, I'm a Pohatu, you're a Pohatu, all Pohatu.
Everybody's a Pohatu.
We're happy Pohatus. For the reason, this is the way that How-One made his Pohatu talk, and we all adopted it.
But they got his character perfect.
Listen, the Mask of Light Pohatu voice is probably my canon.
Okay, we didn't
voice.
We also didn't really like Liwa's. Very
no one. I don't think anyone likes Liwa's, honestly.
Especially that guy named LJ.
LJ does. I think that's like one consensus that most people have in Mask of Light. They don't like Liwa's hippie voice.
I'm fine with it.
It's a fine voice.
I don't remember ever having a problem with voice. Pohatu was the one that was jarring because that was the one the most deviant because he had a voice on it. He wasn't just our deeper voice. He was.
Anua was perfect.
Anua was exactly how we talked.
Well,
but Pohatu was
considering that Anua was like also the voice of Tahu or something, so we just had to deepen his voice just like we would.
I believe Pohatu was also Kopaka, if I'm correct. I believe those two are the same. Makuda's voice actor also did Puku.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
But no, the voices definitely was. I mean, this is the first time that we ever heard BIONICLE voices. Up until that point, it's just been the Monog games where it's...
You hear gears moving, and that's it.
I think there's like one of them where you got to kind of go...
No.
Or the bark animations? You kind of get a...
No.
Sure? You sure about that?
Pretty sure. Not 100%.
I think there's really something that came before that had a more of a...
Maybe you're thinking of Legends of Metro. I don't know.
I said Metro Nui, they talk in that movie.
The Metro Nui commercials, maybe. I don't know.
No, I feel like there was something.
Actually, that's what looks like the Hordika animations. I can see that.
You're right. You know what? No, I think you're talking the Hordika. You're right. With the story ones on the bonus features we had. That was like the search for the Mask of Light. Weirdly speaking.
Speaking of, that's what we need to stay on topic.
Wow, wait a little bit.
Details to some degree. But hearing the voices for the first time, it was Pohatu's I didn't like, Huki's I didn't like, and I think
Huki has like one line though.
Yeah, but Huki sounded too much like Jala for my taste.
It took me a long time to realize that was Huki speaking and not Jala because he didn't even sound like they changed the voice. It was only when I realized that his mouth was moving like, hey, wait a minute.
It doesn't help that's like the only time Huki speaks too, so it's like kind of just happens.
It doesn't also help that Jala's right there in the same scene.
Really, for one of the voices that I don't think we minded, but did change our perspective of, the T.O.A. We didn't have them talk like old people before that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
When we got the T.O.A, they were just little guys. They were just little guys.
I mean, I remember when I first got my Vacations of Males Bond, I didn't know anything about him. Just
like I said, I'm pretty sure
I lost my mask.
The wise old gathered friends changed T.O.A forever for us. They're like, oh, they're old people. That's how they act. They're not just these little guys with swinging arms.
I think we knew they were old people earlier just by the comics.
Debatably.
Well, like, we kind of knew that they were the leaders of the village, but we didn't really think of them as elders of the village.
They were just other...
Yeah. They were just the T.O.A. They were the guys in charge.
Because, like, I'm pretty sure it was the movie that changed the way we did voices.
It certainly changed Vakama to a bit more wise and probably less old.
Also, for a while, made my Vakama really dumb.
Yes.
Everything about
for a long time after that, my Vakama shtick as when I played it was like the prophecy being fulfilled. We must go for anything that would happen. Like you slip on a banana, he go, the prophecy's fulfilled. I must go, and he would just leave. That was my shtick for my Vakama character. Line, something happens that you don't want to deal with. You know what? The prophecy's being fulfilled. I must go. Just leave. When you're like having an awkward conversation with someone at the bar.
If I had a YouTube channel, that would be my execute.
The prophecy
has been fulfilled. I must go.
That actually wouldn't be a bad one. I'd be okay with that. Now, with the movie, obviously, as well as things that I would say put us off at first was the mask designs.
Definitely.
Specifically, not so much the jowls was fine, I think, but the whole moving mouths, slightly more organic look.
Well, especially when you think of Giles, like the mouth isn't part of his mask, and when his mask comes off, the mouth is gone.
And now, don't get me wrong, I do like they did that, but I still think it looks weird on the Picari, like on Takua specifically. Like, if there's anyone that for me that always looked wrong, it was always Takua.
Which is weird. If you actually look at the Picari, it's already kind of got a good spot where that would work. Like
I think that the proportions they changed the Picari because the Picari is more tall in real life with a more pointy bottom, but Takua's they kind of just the bottom a little bit. And give him a big mouth. Like, the proportions are different than, like, the How on Jalo looks like a How. Like, the proportions are more normal.
All the masks on the Matoran, and I did like this aspect, they made all the Matoran masks a little simpler, in essence. Like, You see, the best example is the Huna, where you have Turaga Vakam with this very full out, very more accurate to the way, and then Maku's is much shorter.
I don't know. I think that the accuracy is somewhere in between the two, honestly. Because I don't remember the Toei having giant eyebrows.
No, but like, compare the two masks. They don't have identical masks. The Matoran have simpler, smaller, which with the concept like noble, great, and...
Well, okay, for Rikamas they did, because no Kama, you see people with the Rao, they're the same. You see people with the Komao, with the Niwa, they're the same. I think it's only the Kamas that they really changed for...
I mean, the Kama's a main enough character that they could,
Them Red Bionicle's taking all the screen time.
I can believe if they had the original T.O.A, Jala and Hallie's mask would look different than the Toa's.
I mean, yes. Yeah. Too bad they didn't have all the T.O.A masks on the tour.
I would have been cool if we could at least got a flash, intro of seeing them in their old form before the movie started.
Who, the T.O.A Meta?
Yeah, basically like how the Netflix series did with them. We had the animations before, and then the actual show kicks off. Just to get a glimpse of the T.O.A Meta in that art style.
That could have been cool.
It would have been nice, but the fact that it's a story about Takua, and that would have killed time and more animation, I get why they didn't do it.
Obviously it was never in the budget.
I was going to say, the movie itself...
Let's be honest, the movie wasn't designed to introduce new people to Bionicle. It was more so, hey, for you've been here for 3 years, here's your climactic ending to your saga. We're doing it in a movie form.
Claim your...
It's like when a TV show ends on a movie, except there wasn't a TV show. There was just comics, online games, books, and toys.
We'll say the online animations were the TV show.
You could pretty much...
It's basically...
The Bork animation with, the two Monogs, kind of put them all together. You kind of have the story of Takua. Between the two Monogs and the Bork animations, leading up to the Mask of Light is Takua's story. Takua gets the big motion picture story. The T.O.A gets the books. The scholarly stories.
Expanded universe.
And then the comics are just whatever.
Mostly the T.O.A.
That Trog, I feel like a decent amount of comic time, maybe.
With an occasion cameo with a Matoran.
I do have one thing I want to say.
Okay.
What was the design choice that led them to give Vakama giant eyebrows?
Old, wise eyebrows, don't you know?
Why does he
think of some... I can sort of picture just animation with they got the huge eyebrows and big beard. And if you think of it as Huna,
it's a classic old wise man in the mountain, or old wise man wizard, sort of.
If you were to make it again today,
because I think even with the old Lord of the Rings, the old one of the old ones, I'm pretty sure Gandalf's got bigger eyebrows.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe Saruman does. Your beard grows out, your eyebrows supposedly grow out. I've never trimmed mine, so I don't know how you do that.
It would be interesting if they were to try doing that again today with better animation or something. Because, as I said, I would love more photorealistic animation. But if you have the mask, and I'm fine with the mouth having more flexibility because, maybe the mouth's not part of the mask, but people like Takua have eyebrows that are more subtle but still there. You would really have to get the eyes down to really be able to portray emotion, because if you don't want the mask to move because it's a mask.
That's why I feel the mouth having moving parts is the best solution.
Yeah, even still, but most of your emotion comes through your eyes and your forehead, the top half of your face.
I mean, it depends also how body language comes to a lot of stuff too. How well do you do you move your body? Because Transformers have always had that sort of issue in most of their...
I'm just thinking of the Mandalorian here.
Well, yes, that too.
That's a helmet on. He has to convey
a lot of emotion. As long as you got good enough voice acting and animation to go along with it, you can convey emotion.
And don't forget music. Music is very important. And the Mask of Light has some good music.
You know, it has amazing music.
It was inspired by Lord of the Rings, so...
And when you think that, you hear it.
It's one of those cases where it's a movie... The movie quality, being completely subjective, I would say it's... For a kid's movie, I would say it's fine.
Yeah.
The animation's fine. The story's fine. But the music, top notch.
Now I want to hear...
this tier... it jumps a tier.
Because generally when kids movies have really good music, it's usually musicals or musical numbers or such. But it's got very epic cinematic music.
Now I want
even the trailers have great music.
I want to see or watch Lord of the Rings dubbed with the Bionicle music.
That would be wrong. That'd be just wrong. I love them both, but that'd be wrong. I can't change my Lord of the Rings music. That stuff is too perfect. Even Bionicle can't touch my Lord of the Rings. It's too too.
All right, we
amazing.
dub it with Avec doing their music. How's that?
Okay, well, if Avic's doing it, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no, definitely the music is a very strong key point. And I would say for the most part, the Mask of Light does a mood or feel really well. Like whenever, like, it does Makuta being really creepy, it does, I would say it's an actually relatively dire story. Like, it's not a very upbeat story, relatively speaking.
Actually, now that you mentioned Makuta, it was definitely annoying how Makuta's mask in the movie didn't look a whole lot like the toy's mask.
I love the Makuta.
Okay,
I love the design of the mask, but
that is
he
annoying.
did not match the toy at all.
I mean, the rest of the body, you could kind of be like, okay, this is close enough. But especially because the set has such the elongated, Roxy-like, pointy. So it's like, you look at it and go, what's the deal?
It's pretty obvious, like, the toy's mask does not translate well
this thing is
having a mouth talking.
No, but also the thing is, you look at the prototype of Makuta, how it's a Picari on top of the Vahi. It's a perfect in-between. You can see how that turned into the toy, you can see how it turned into the movie. Mm-hmm. And go, oh, this explains everything. And so it's like, it is very annoying. And especially someone who really likes the toy Krakan mask. Like, I like that the snake... I think a shorthand for the toy, that's like the long one, like a shorthand of just like calling it the snake Krakan, or the Roxy Krakan.
The rat Krakan.
No, that's just rude. The elongated.
How about
the standard Krakan?
The mustached.
I've never seen that as a mustache, and I refuse to ever see it as a mustache.
I'm just throwing things out here. I've never seen it as a mustache, but I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. Like, that's better than saying like
the standard.
The standard Krakan.
The standard
toy.
Krakan.
And the thing is, yeah, and it was like that.
Even the movie edition Krakan.
That was a sad last minute attempt.
It did look.
It looks more like the movie Krakan,
but it looks worse on the character.
Which I find hilarious that they put it on the backside of the mask. That is definitely supposed to reflect the Krakan / Evoki mix. Presumably,
there's no confirmation on that, but I'm presuming that's what it was meant to be. It's generally the Makuta toy is kind of weird because it's interesting because Takanuva and the Uzunui, almost a perfect match. The Uzunui is a perfect match, so either Makuta was the last one designed, or the Uzunui, because it was designed maybe a bit later, it was just later in the movie, so they had more time to wait for it to be finished. I mean, the Uzunui is a vehicle, so you don't need to be like getting it perfect. Makuta's like a model for a movie, and it's like, okay, well, we gotta get this. I don't know.
I mean, the Toa's designs would, because the Toa Mat already exists, the Toa Nuva would have been much further ahead. So Makuta probably was further down the line.
Well, the Toa Nuva came out a whole year before Makuta came out, so the designs of the Toa Nuva, you only see behind the scenes of them basically looking at the Toa Nuva and going, okay, so we need to make this into something. It's not like the toys were there, but...
I'm pretty sure when they were making the movie, they only had, like...
prototypes of Makuta. Yeah. That's the thing as well. But I'm saying, like, with the Uzunui, also, I don't think they had a prototype. The Gaku's so different from the toy that it's possibly just had a four-winged bird and was like, well, we're going to do this, and... Puku and Gaku don't look anything like the toys.
The Gaku looks more
at best,
than Puku
they were probably like Makuta and they had prototypes.
Even still, like,
or they also
Puku
didn't
is
care
so
much.
fleshed over. Like, the only thing you can...
Looks like a crab in the movie, is
like,
you're saying?
other than looking like he has a Borak lid on his back, like, he doesn't really look like he has much to work with. And I would say the set feels more implied of space than...
I mean, if you really want to get nigger, even the Matoran don't look that much like the toys.
No.
Probably for the better, though. Honestly,
yeah, they're
a little
the
bit more...
Matoran are a little
I only have one
weird.
complaint with Matoran.
They're great toys, but as characters in a movie, I think they would look awkward, and like the big gear function in the back just would be very.
I feel like they feel more like
Matoran are terrible looking humanoid figures.
Honestly, look at the proportions. They feel more like a Toa
they've got tiny
than
bodies,
they do a Matoran.
Short legs with huge feet. Big, wide, lanky arms, and then, like, the stubby, like, kind of a tail, I guess?
Well, I guess if Matoran is supposed to be related to Borak, then it works great for that.
Yeah, they've even got the Borak arms, so, yeah, it's awesome.
It's like I said, they're not great, which is why I'm glad that at least majority of the stuff in the movie were changed relatively a fair bit to, for the movie, because honestly, yeah, no, a lot of it was, like... And yes, when I was younger, it annoyed me because I, like... Which is funny, because eventually LEGO would make a Bonk movie where they look like toys. And by that point, I'm like, go back to the old stuff, please. Miramax, come back.
We'll have our own more discussion when we get to that, but there's definitely...
Yes.
That's another 300 podcasts.
No, we're not doing this for every 100th Podcast. Next Bionicle Day, we're going to talk about Legends of Metronui because we're going to watch it. On or as soon as we can around that time is the plan.
I don't know why we didn't do this podcast when we watched The Mask of Light.
Well, originally I was going to watch him talk about all the movies, like back to back to back. But then I wanted to do something for Bionicle Day, and I was like, well, I could do a podcast movie. And plus, we've been putting this off for so long, and it's like, may as well do it.
Fortunately, it's not dim in our memories. The movie is quite strong whenever we do it.
We've watched it way too many times to count.
Yeah, we don't really need to.
Most movies, majority of movies, I could probably give you a rough estimate how many times I've seen it. Mask of Light.
Actually, this is probably my number one most watched movie. Except maybe episode 2. Like, this is a movie I can watch, and it's like, it's so familiar that I can't just watch it. It has to be like something in the background. I could still just watch it.
You could watch it probably quote along to
There was a point where I could quote almost word for word
without watching it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I almost was able to do that at one point. I never quite got there, but almost. Now, one thing that I still don't understand about the movie, is why did Takanuva carve the mountain in the shape of his old Picari? I think he was taking lessons for Hafu. Hafu's like...
He did spend some time hanging around with Hafu.
The only way he knows how to make art, make it of yourself.
Well, remember, Hafu used the carving himself.
In memoriam of my Matoran self.
Such an egotistical move.
Like this mountain is not T.O.A.
You know what?
Let's remember how it was a Matoran.
This mountain, this sacred Kirinui area, I'm going to change that mountain right there. I don't like it very much. Oh, speaking of not liking it, I did not like Takanuva's voice.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, there was so much build-up for the 7th T.O.A. that I was like, this guy sounds like a dork. And I like it now. Like, it's fine. The thing is,
I'm used to it.
This is the common thing about anything new in Banco, where it be a new set coming out or something. I generally don't like it at first.
The initial reaction
is
horrible.
Even the Tonuva, don't like them.
It was the Paraka when I first remember
the Paraka,
the Hordika.
I remember being excited about the Toanuva. Granted, I also thought they had posable knees.
When I very first saw the picture, I was like, they look weird.
Yeah, I remember thinking that they were like two-piece with like the little click hinges.
Or a clip or something. And then I was so disappointed when I got Kahunuva.
Well, we already knew by then.
I remember when I got Gallinuva, because that was the first Toanuva that any of us had.
Yeah.
Just looking at the armor pieces and like, these are so cool.
They still are.
They still are very cool pieces. And then arguably, the sometimes the Mask of Light made some of the Toanuva look a bit cooler. I'm looking at Nuva. Little stubby armed dinosaur, little T-Rex, big head, little arms.
Yeah, the movie shrunk the mask, grew the arms.
It was very good for his mighty friend.
It was probably a good decision, but I am still upset that they flipped Poharu's body upside down or right way up, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like, I can understand why they did that, and like, while it works in the online animations,
I think if they had committed to keeping Anua and Poatu both in their different forms, keeping them torn a bit more lanky, but with everyone being a little bit more prim and proper, yeah, it's a little bit
It's not something they could do it halfway. You either have to do it all the way or not at all.
Yeah. One thing about this movie that just makes me chuckle is Makuta. For the sole fact of, so he challenges Takanuva to a Koli match. Now, in the story, that's probably because, he knows, well, you're not very good at Koli, so I'm going to toy with you. But that means he's been watching these Koli matches to know that Takua's back. So I like to think that he just enjoys watching the sports on his TV. Oh, what's the Koli game on today? What's the score? Takor is down 3-2-0. Ooh, man, they really suck.
Ooh, losing the gag horror, that's a burn.
Like, I like to think that Makuta's watching Hallie's career with great interest as a Koli player. You're just like, he learns she's a conjugal. Oh, but you're such a good forward on the Koli team. Don't throw your career away like that.
Maku's going to be so ticked off.
But they're going to have Kotu as their... they're going to bring Kotu up from the minors? Oh. Just the idea, I just like the idea that, like I said, Makuta challenged him to Koli. He had his staff ready for Koli. Like, Makuta's watching the Koli games. You can't tell me he hasn't been watching the Koli games. I mean,
he does kind of watch everything on the island. So.
Yeah, but I feel like he does it with a little bit too much interest.
Makuta is by far the best aspect of that movie. They nailed him in every aspect.
It's hard to disagree with that, but at the same time...
It's the scene I certainly most enjoy.
You can't disagree with Tao being great the whole time.
Tao's voice was good.
How
His lines were good. Honestly,
Kopaka was great.
pretty much
Kopaka was perfect.
basically I would say none of the writing was really that bad.
The writing was good.
Like especially when it came down to the dialogue between characters.
I would say none of the actors really.
None of it was that corny.
I would say the only corny one I would say is the "No Tahu No" line.
I mean, corny is just telling someone no. It's like maybe the delivery was a little bit weird, but yeah, I mean for me, I'm like for the most part,
The actors definitely seemed like they
enjoyed it.
crap.
No, it's like there was. That's the thing is you could see a lot of effort put in the Miramax Bionicle movies, like a lot of just I would say passion and such, and it wasn't like
They didn't have a big budget, obviously, but they
maybe it's hard to say. I have no idea what the budget was.
One time
I mean, no, this is 2003. The animation was pretty good for 2003, I think. Maybe. For direct to video, sort of. Maybe because it was released in a couple theaters. It's first time. It's good.
Like
it's fine.
Yeah, you watch it now and just like, yep, it looks.
It's an animated movie.
It doesn't help though that we're also looking at an animation that's based on a toy, a plastic toy.
I was gonna say it helps that it's not about humans.
Yeah, pretty much as long as you don't have humans, animation looks better in anything.
Everything in here is a machine.
Usually, Toy Story proves that.
Yeah, that's why a lot of the Pixar early films were
avoided humans.
They didn't follow humans.
Visually, Toy Story has not aged as well as I thought, but other than that, the other ones are still doing good, holding up.
Well, I mean, with age, that comes a lot with it. And, but I do, the only time the animation in Mask of Light that really bothered me, though, was the water physics with Gally.
Yeah.
That was like the one point where I'm like, okay, this is not great.
But to be fair, water has
hard.
always been a challenge for animators until Moana or something.
Well, it's like, even like it's like with video games and stuff, water's always been a trickier thing to get to look good. Not saying people don't do it back then, but
this is why we never saw a gap.
Basically, like commonly used water physics, I don't think was like readily available until much later. But like, it's still just one of those things where it's like that's the one point where I kind of look and go, okay, that doesn't look so great. And okay, I'm like the energized protodermis when Makuto's getting out of it. I can't tell if it looks just bad or if it's meant to be more of a
I can work with that one because it's
material.
Not water.
I'm not 100% sure.
When they're coming up, the way it flows off, that is probably the weakest.
When light and shadow have become one.
We'll just say it's intentional. We'll say that's just how protodermis is,
I mean, I've never seen energized protodermis, so I don't know what it looks like. But I do feel like it would be. I feel like it'd be more like liquid metal than it would be water.
Oh, the other thing with the animation that does make it feel a little bit old is the stilted Rockshies. The Rockshies always, when they walk and stuff, they always felt just a little stiff.
That just seems like
to me,
as if they're like suits of armor.
Like specifically the legs, like just feel like the animation. I think because they have such big feet, you don't want the feet clipping through the ground in the animation. So I think like the way they don't move very.
I have never once had an issue or thought about how they move.
I don't know. To me, they always just, even when I was younger, they always just felt a little bit stilted. But not that would ever ruin the film for me. My unapologetically biased love for this movie, I can, even if I recognize flaws in the production style, I'm like, nah. I will still always, will always be able to enjoy it. We'll always be able to put it in and go, I can sit through this all really fine and enjoy. Like I said, characters I love and great music, pretty good visuals, and a good story. Quite a good story. I mean,
simple.
And especially because like we also had the DVD, so we had like bonus features to it too. Which anytime you get good, decent bonus features to a movie, always helps it be a little bit better.
Anything to help with get more Bionicle lore was great.
Not that it really gave us much lore. But
nothing much new, but like you could explore the island to sort of extent. Like you were able to explore the Bionicle universe. They gave
listening to T.O.A to pronounce all the Trogga's names. Onawa. Still not how I feel about that. Still, right. They say, do they say Liwa?
Did they say Liwa?
Right. Yes.
But they do kind of pronounce it Golly.
Well, Golly.
They vary with that.
Golly's always kind of, I think, is more commonly pronounced with the
Yeah, but to us it was Galley. So hearing Golly was a little bit
Golly, yeah.
Odd.
Gally had a weird name. Poatu had a weird voice and body. Tao's mouth and face always looked a little bit weird. Nah, still over. Just just a lot of fun stuff. I feel like there was more to say about the movie. Besides, I mean, I could go into the little details about everything. How, like, first off, can I just say Takua's a little rat? Pinning all the thing onto Jallo, just, like, lifting his foot. Dude, oh, congratulations, it shines on you.
Well, remember,
I just...
what did the Taraka say? Irresponsible.
Well, I would say Takua's the epitome of work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like,
You know, you have to give Takua credit. He was pretty sharp with going right off the bat. Like, he knew what was going on.
Yeah, he knew, like,
It's on me.
It's touching my foot. But I can direct it to
I
Jallo.
have the control.
I always thought it was a little bit weird that no one noticed, but I think you would point out to me in the one terms like, well, in fairness, the Trocker is standing in boots like really far away, so the fact most people aren't going to notice that he's lifting his foot.
They just notice it's like it's on and off, and then it's kind of steady on Jallo.
Jallo can't prove him wrong because Takua's lifting his foot.
See, that's great. It's you. Oh, I have. Haha.
So like they're far enough where the truck can't necessarily tell it's just touching Takua. Oh, it's not touching. It is.
The direction
They
of the
just see
light.
kind of like the light wobble on and off, and then it's pointing at Jallo.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry, Jallo got his revenge.
Oh yeah.
Which
And Takua the Claire will come and join me.
I really do like the way they wrote Takua and Jallo as a pair. Even when Takua decides to ditch Jallo, it seems, I think it was done it never felt like oh, this is out of character.
See, I would say now I have more of an issue with Jallo's voice. It's not gruff enough.
Yeah,
like,
Jallo
especially
should be
when you
gruff.
like actually like play Monog, like you feel like
Or the online, the
Jallo.
Borak animations.
he's like
Well,
that
pretty much
gruff,
all of the
grizzled
Matoran in
Just doing
Mask of
this.
Light had like younger voices than you would expect from Monog.
I would say the
which
movie
was
did-
definitely deliberate.
Which works for Hallie, especially after Monog 2, Hallie's works.
I would say
Takua is quirky. I mean, look, if they had really gone the actors who applied for it, you could have had Takua's voice actor playing Jallo.
Yeah,
I would
Takua
say
and
they
Jallo,
did
they
with the
swapped
Matoran what we
characters.
typically do.
Jallo would have been a good Takanuva, though.
Yeah.
I really wonder how they would have done it, but it's just like, I like that they had the voice actors and went just, now we're switching you two.
They definitely made the Matoran more childish in voice as we would do in our own game. It's just naturally giving.
I don't think I had Matoran before I saw the movie.
No, but even still, like we would obviously make because they were the
I
children.
did not, because my first Matoran I got at Christmas 2003.
Did we get the Mask of Light before Christmas, or would we gone after? I know it would have been if it was released before, I'm pretty sure,
Well,
but I don't know if we actually...
I think we got it before.
It would have been
I mean,
nice
I
to see
can't
more
say for
Matoran
sure.
and actually having more voices.
Because I'm trying to remember, did you guys get your Makuta and Takanuva before the movie came out, or after? I don't remember.
Because I watched The Mask of Light all through December up to the Christmas,
Right.
hoping I'd get Takanuva.
This is why he's here. He can carbon date this. Very fair point. So it probably came out in like October.
October sounds right.
Yeah. Fall. Coming this fall.
You know, get it out for the Christmas rush so the toys will fly off the shelves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's probably also when the Lego sets would have been released around the fall winter release.
Well, they're the 2003 fall. Yeah, 2003 fall release. Yeah, no, that sounds about right. Because I think the only other the Rochi released, I think, in the summer. I think it was a
I'm
little
pretty sure
bit.
that was.
Well, there's usually like a summer wave and a winter wave.
I remember us playing with Matoran trying to find the 7th Toa, but I don't know if this was before or after I had the 7th Toa.
I really couldn't say one way or another.
By which I mean it'd been like Kopiki looking for the 7th Toa because I would have been the only Matoran I could have possibly had.
It was disappointing though that despite them making 8 Matoran between the 6 small sets and the 2 Titan sets of Takua and Jallo, only like the Kopiki and Matoro never showed up in the movie. Huki and Haku were there.
The way the
Maku's
movie...
there, but the fact that you don't get all the Matoran, you don't get all the villages.
Annoying enough that we didn't get all the Matoran and sets. The way that sets and movies were set up, we really should have saw Kokoro and not the
No,
Onu Matoran.
that is the weird part.
Or make the
Yeah.
sets
You see,
the Onu Matoran.
That is probably the weirdest part, is that you see Onukoro with Matoran. I mean, with Matoro being a bigger character come 2007.
And let's think, which is going to likely sell better? A white Bionicle or a boring black Bionicle? Mind you, if he was black and purple, then I guess
Well, I
black
think
and orange.
Black and white always sold just as well. I don't think there was ever a It was always the brown characters that didn't sell so
yeah,
well.
the purple.
Yeah.
But as a Coley, so you need the copper mask champion Huki Haku.
I think I finally figured out why they didn't have the leader Oni Matoran. Purple and turquoise were discontinued by then.
No, 2003 they were still around. They were
It was
discontinued
the
in
color
2004.
change 2004 when they basically got.
And even then-
discontinued, so a year later.
I know they changed all the colors, but I thought like the first year of BIONICLE was the last year like turquoise and purple were around.
No, there was Scala sets that had turquoise still in 2004.
They were, and like some Harry Potter, I think in maybe 2002, maybe.
Well,
Or just
Dumbledore
the-
was 2002. He was still getting
Yes.
produced in then.
Oh right, yeah.
But they were certainly probably like phasing them out.
So I mean, that could be a main reason why they decided not to go with non. But even then, it's just like what could have been for the Matoran is just. I like that they gave you two Matoran villages, especially being the person collected the brown. That was very
I'm
nice.
kind of surprised they didn't go
Should
with
have just given you
green.
10 sets, you know? Should have
Realistic,
just given you 10 sets.
realistically, I'm
10
surprised
cents?
they didn't go.
Well,
with...
5 villages where you get 2 each, and then the 2 titans
Ah,
get the 2 red guys.
just give us 10 sets.
I'm
yes.
surprised they didn't go with green as one of the colors of Matoran, honestly, because if I'm correct, Liwa, Kopaa, and Tahu were the big selling T.O.A.
Again,
The
as you
other
said, turquoise. They might have been trying to phase
two-
out.
Still, but like, there's lime and there's normal.
Or it
green.
could have been this. Kopaka was popular, so make Matoro.
They could have made a Tamaru. But,
Act-
they could have changed his feet to blue or
That would
something.
be really interesting. Like, why did they choose the Comatorn?
It's
Or even Gamatorn.
well, that because of the story. Because Hallie was going to be the winner of Huki and Jalo. That was the 3 teams.
Why Comatorn?
That is the great mystery that we probably will never know unless someone can hunt down Bob Thompson. Although he's not. He's part of the Bongo story team, so he probably would have some insight. Although it's like 20 years old, so who knows if you even remember.
And more importantly, why did they give Kopiki the Matatu?
I also bet that has something to do with the color
That's
of feet.
probably more just because like they had a bunch of it. Like, well, let's just, or maybe
I
they
don't
just
think
picked
that
it
like
out
it
of
just
hat.
overproduces pieces at a whim.
Well, look at some of those Bonko buckets.
That's...
And also, some mistakes get made. You won 10,000, you end up putting to 100,000 and go, oops.
Sir,
I wouldn't be
put an extra
surprised.
0 in there again.
But, yeah. Well, we're kind of closing to that 40-minute mark, so I think this is a good enough time to probably pause it for now. I mean, as we go through the other movies, I'm sure we'll bring up other facts about the Mask of Light, but, we all love the Mask of Light. We'll probably watch it again soonish.
It's a great bad movie.
But, thanks for everyone for sticking around for 100 podcasts, and thank you guys for sticking around, not ditching me in a ditch or something. You know, you let your coworker kidnap me, but it's fine.
I didn't let you come
unfortunately
into my
brought you back. We
house.
tried
And
to get
feed
rid of
me! It's great! But yeah, no, like I said, thanks, and if everyone has their own opinions, feel free to put in the comments. I probably won't reply, but you never know. I might if it's interesting enough.
Hey,
How
you
one,
should.
you can say something. But until next time, I've been your host, Mel. This has been the T.O.A Podcast, and we are retiring from the night.